let's move on to our next session, Europe's financial landscape. We're going to today focus on more on the macro side, on finance, on government finance. We've got a great panel now. We're delighted to have with us the Minister of Finance of the Government of Romania, Alexandru Nazare. Welcome, Minister. Thanks for joining us this morning.
First of all, thank you for the invitation and for the occasion to address the audience in such an interesting format event. I had the chance last year to be with you, if you remember, the same panel, macroeconomics, different quality. I was member of the board of the National Bank. Now I'm in a different position, but we're addressing more or less the same challenges in a different context. I will go straight to the issue in the beginning. I think Romania's true test of economic leadership in 2026 is the ability to maintain the fiscal trajectory, the assumed deficit targets, while shielding its citizens and companies from major shocks and without falling again in the trap, in the populist trap, while advancing the target to exceed to OECD this year, which is critical, while advancing a proper implementation of the RRF in the final year, while increasing its attractiveness for FDI, for investors, while maintaining the credibility for external markets. These are the things that will be on the core of the credibility test for Romania this year. And they are not easy. They are not easy because we're not facing only a national-driven crisis like last year, which was just the fiscal budgetary crisis because of our own actions in the past. It's an overlapping new crisis, the energy crisis, which is basically a global European crisis, which comes from the second war, which started in Middle East. I'll now go back to sum up a little bit what we've done in this last 9 months. So when this government took office, Romania had the largest budget deficit in the European Union. It was 9.3. The recovery and resilience plan was stalled with the European Commission confidence in our capacity to deliver. This was seriously eroded. Billions in EU grants were at risk, and the country was facing the prospect of a sovereign credit downgrade to below investment grade. This was the starting point. What followed was a sequence of concrete decisions. We brought the cash deficit from 8.7 to 7.6 in 2025 in less than 1 year. With the primary adjustment, net of interest payments amounting to 1.6%, our 2026 target is 6.2 and undercuts the European Commission ceiling. And in January, we posted the first budget surplus in the last 7 years. And in February, the budgetary execution shows we are on track. In November last year, in the ECOFIN Council, we secured the approval of the revised recovery and resilience plan. We saved the entire grant component, 13.7 billion euros. We simplified the plan by reducing the number of milestones from 518 to 390. And we moved key projects, including the Moldova motorway, which is a key project, from the loan component to grant component, reducing the burden of the national budget while protecting the infrastructure delivery. All the three major rating agencies, S&P, Moody's, and Fitch, maintained Romania investment grade last year. Each one cited the consolidation effort explicitly as the reason the rating was preserved. What I want to stress is that fiscal discipline did not come at the expense of investment. It was quite the opposite. In 2025, investment expenditure reached 138 billion, up 16% from 2024. And in 2026 budget, we raised the fiscal space for investment to 164 billion. So over 32 billion euros in a single year fiscal space for investment, which amounts to 8% of GDP. The EU-funded investment alone grows from 78 billion to more than 100 billion lei, and the operating cost of the state goes down in the budget, which was approved. Its investment capacity goes up, and this is basically the equation that we had to solve when approving the budget. Investment requires more than budget allocation. It requires a framework. That is why we adopted the economic relaunch package, a 5 billion euro program running till 2032. Let me highlight what contains very fast. For the first time, Romania has an instrument to compete for large strategic investments, projects over 200 million euros. Until now, we simply did not have the tools, and we lost important opportunities to regional competitors. That was changed. We introduced tax credits for research and development. For the first time, we introduced the super accelerated depreciation to 65% for productive assets, and we relaxed the foreign investment screening threshold from 2 to 5 million, and we halved the processing time and fees. These are operational instruments already in force. In parallel, the Development and Investment Bank received new ways of developing through this economic and recovery plan. It may start investment vehicles, it may participate in new investment vehicles, so it gives to the investment bank of the state a lot of room to participate in the actual recovery of Romania in a much better way than this bank had in the past. Of course, now looking ahead, we're talking a lot about the question of the euro, which is very important, and I think we need to maintain the target to join the euro, but we have to be very much aware of the fact that without going out of the excessive deficit procedure, we cannot think of joining the euro. So we have to maintain the fiscal discipline, maintain the fiscal trajectory, get out of the excessive deficit procedure, and then prepare the country to enter the euro. And this requires a lot of commitment from the entire political class, not for 1 year, not for 2 years, but for the next 4 to 5 years. It's a huge task for Romania, but it's critically important, and we need this kind of tasks because we need to set a long-range good project in which we need to anchor the country and then talk about it and then align the political class around it. We already passed legislation to declare the crisis regarding the fuel crisis we have with a series of measures which are already in place. We have prepared measures and we advanced measures in the task force that the Prime Minister created, and the discussions continue today, and we hope to have the legislation approved by end of this week in order to have measures in place to contain the crisis that we have. Let me close by saying that in these past 10 months, Romania has reduced its deficit, increased its investment, renegotiated the economic and recovery plan, preserved its credit rating, adopted a structural relaunch program, advanced and recovered a lot in order to advance in the final stage for OECD accession. We have chosen a path that is neither easy nor popular. I think this is the right one. Discipline over drift, competitiveness over comfort, reform over rhetoric. That's the course, and that's the course we need to maintain. Thank you.